to another episode of Charlie Drives. Today it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the Porsche and we are going up to Snetterton. I did promise an update, and it would seem timely that I'm doing this now, because this is pretty much the official 3-year anniversary of when I bought the car. So hopefully we can get a good idea of the three-year cost of ownership that this car has actually brought. So I've kept all of the invoices that I've had for the car since I started. Now, if you'll remember in my last video, I said that daily driving this car is really cost effective. It's not very expensive. I think I said something along the lines of, in 2 years that I've had the car, I spent like around $2,000 or something like that. However, I've recently had a lot of work done to the car. I wanted to try out actually going to the main Porsche dealer to get some work done on the car. Let me just put in the bloody address, because I don't want to go the wrong way. So I put the car in around Christmas time. I put the car into Porsche Centre Cambridge to get some work done on it. It basically was due a major service, so I was expecting a relatively large bill, and I think I said that in the last video. When I say relatively large, I wasn't expecting to receive a 7-page invoice. Yes, 7 pages. Yeah, I was a little bit shocked, but at the same time, there were things that in the back of my mind I knew needed to be done. So, and I think partly I was fairly forgiving, because the car really hadn't cost me an awful lot of money over the last few years. So I took it down there. They do their free vehicle health check. The list of stuff that came out of it was pretty insane. Now, there is one thing that I hadn't mentioned that I noticed shortly after doing my last video, was that the Porsche was actually leaking through the rear windscreen. So every day that it rained, a fair amount, the back seats were actually getting very wet. So all of the carpets underneath the seat pads were soaking. So, to cut a long story short, one of the big jobs that we had to do when it went into Porsche Cambridge was they had to take all of the interior out, pretty much all of the interior trim out, to let it dry. And basically they managed to find the leak was actually it was coming through the actual window seal, as well as the seal for the rear windscreen wiper. So yeah, that wasn't something I was really expecting, and it's not something that you tend to anticipate when it comes to, you know, a Porsche 911. You don't expect it to leak, especially considering this particular one does not have a sunroof. So it really did narrow down the options as to where the leak was coming from. So that was one of the biggest problems, was actually to try and diagnose where it was coming from itself. Yeah, so 7 pages of invoicing from Porsche. Yes, to get the major service done, that was one thing, but basically I opted also, I think I needed to have all my gearbox oil replaced as well. That was a fairly expensive job. Spark plug, all of the spark plugs got replaced. Now I actually my wife kindly bought me a clutch about two Christmases ago. And
in half a mile, turn left onto High Street.
Sorry, bit of an interruption. and essentially turn left onto the high street. Anyway, wife kindly bought me a clutch 2 Christmases ago. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird Christmas present, but whatever. She bought me a clutch. However, the total cost from Porsche to replace the clutch and
Turn left onto High Street.
Sorry, keep getting interrupted. However, obviously when they took the clutch off, they called me up and said the flywheel also needs to be replaced as well. So that was another 400 odd quid. But in total, that whole clutch replacement job cost £1,800. So yeah, a little bit of a shock, especially considering everything else that I was having done on the car. Yeah, these are the points of the free vehicle health checks that they do for you. You know, it is a great service. They go through the whole car and give you basically an amber, green, and red indication of what needs to be done. So obviously the ambers are things that you need to be aware of, and the red ones are essentially things that are quite an urgent fix that need to be replaced, either because the car won't get through its next MOT, or yeah, something even more serious than that, to be honest. So basically, the total cost of that trip to Porsche, despite, to be fair, it was there for about three weeks, but the total cost was just over £7,500. Yeah, so that was a bit of a shock to the system. I bought this car 3 years ago for £19,000. I've probably spent about 10k on it now. It had 86,000 miles on the clock at the time, and now it's done 102,000 miles. So I've got a lot of good driving out of it. But yes, the car essentially owes me about 29,000, and if I was to sell this privately today, I could probably get about 21,000 for it. So it's not too bad. Put it into perspective. If I'd have bought a hatchback for 20k 3 years ago, I reckon it would have lost probably more than 10k in a 3 year period. So, you know, I think that the nice thing about this is, for hatchback money, you can be driving a Porsche 911, but you need to be prepared to pay those maintenance costs. All cars will cost you money to run and maintain, and I think what I've gained in appreciation has made up for the actual cost of maintaining it.